Hello, welcome back to Cookfulness. This is your second session. I'm still Ian. Don't worry if you're at the first session and you think I'm going to ramble on again. I won't. I'm going to be doing more cooking and less talking, I promise you. So today we're going to be picking up on the curry sauce that we started last time, so the base curry, and also going to show you a bright, fresh, delicious tomato sauce as well. Both of which fall under my whole sort of cookfulness ethos. The point being, you can make dishes from dishes, you can freeze, you can use the freezer, you can use different ingredients for different days of how you're feeling, just to show you really genuinely can cook no matter what type of day you're having. If you saw the first session, you know I wasn't feeling too clever. Today, similar, a lot of pain, a lot of soreness, head's a little bit fuzzy, so this could be interesting, but I want to do it to show you that it is possible, and I'm not making it up. You genuinely can find a way to cook, and not just cook, but absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it. And what that does for your head, what that does for your body is just amazing. That feeling of celebration, of self-worth is incredible. So, before we start, particularly for me today, and I'm sure it's for many of you as well, a little bit anxious, thinking how is this going to go? So, just start with a bit to breathe, in through the nose, out through the mouth, just to calm yourself down, in through the nose, out through the mouth, just get yourself relaxed, feel a little bit better. For me then, I visualize, so over the years of feeling pretty lousy, awful, I missed a lot of Christmases, a lot of birthdays, a lot of school events. I missed family life. I missed a lot of sitting down and eating. So for me, a real vivid picture of my family sat around the dining table with me there with them. So there's 4 chairs, my wife and 2 children and me, and I'm on it. I'm sat there with my food in the middle of the table. Everybody is enjoying it, they're loving it, they're laughing, we're all together. That, in my mind, is a picture that gives me great joy. It gives me incredible power to say, right, I'm going to make that happen. And if I start to feel like I can't do this, what I go to is the picture of that same dining table, 4 chairs still there, my wife and 2 daughters are there, but the one I'm supposed to be on is empty. I'm not there. That drives me to say I want to be on that chair. I do not want to be the person who's not there. Works for me, might not work for you, but it gives me such inspiration and such drive to say I'm going to make this happen. So, done our breathing, visualization. What's the next best thing we need to put on? Music. So, Cookfulness playlist. Today, where should we start? Let's start with some... Where should we go? Bit of Hot House Flowers, I think. That's always good to get you going. I can see clearly now. Off it goes. Now remember, the power of music is incredible. It can be incredibly positive and also incredibly negative. Make sure you're putting music on your playlist that gives you that real powerful positive plus. Don't go for the ones that remind you of breakups, of things that have gone wrong, of when you were at your worst, feeling so ill in hospital, listening to this terrible music. They're memories that you must keep, but for going forward, try and pick the music that's got links to some of the best times in your life. The times you were down the pub with your mates playing pool, where the world seems so simple. Yeah, to now. It could be birth of children, it could be getting married, it could be the first time you did something, your driving test, anything. Just get those really great pieces of music. Try to go for the upbeat ones, but it's nice to throw a few slower ones in there as well, just to slow you down a little bit. So go for music that you really love. Get your playlist going like I've got. It's brilliant. You've got so many tracks on there over the years, and I keep adding to it, keep more and more. Some great songs I've just added. The Rag and Bone Man's new one is brilliant. Tom Grennan I love, so his new one's on there. Just keep doing it and keep adding it. Okay, so let's start with, this is, in here is the curry sauce that we made first time round. Now what I'm going to do with you today is show you how that curry sauce, that base sauce, can become a whole load of different dishes. Now that sauce on its own is nice, it's lovely, it's really flavoursome. It's mild, but it's great as an intro, and you can have that with some cooked chicken or whatever you like, and it's delicious. But I'm now going to show you how you can turn this one into a number of new dishes with totally different flavours with only a few ingredients extra. So if you've got this and you've made a lot of it and you've got it in freezer, bring it out, get it to room temperature, then start to warm it up, and you can start to make very different dishes. And you can be incredibly proud of what you've done, because you're going to go around the world here with me, okay? Now, I will say that these dishes are inspired by various parts of the world. So we're going to have a bit of India, a bit of Thai, a bit of Mexican. They're not what you would call authentic traditional, but they're not far off. They're my version of it, and you might tweak it and change it as you go. But we're going to have a little go around the world with this curry, this base curry. So now I'm going to start and try and get this to work time right. So I'm going to do a roasted vegetable one first, so a vegetable curry. So on the tray here, I've got some broccoli spears, some courgette chopped up, some sweet potato, and some mange tout. Now, these are just what I had. What also would be lovely is some chickpeas, really lovely to roast. You can have some aubergines, some carrots, anything that you can roast. But the really important tip here is, you'll see that the size of the courgette, if you can just see the size of that one, so it's quite a big chunk compared to the size of the sweet potato, which is a little chunk, because you want them all to cook at the same time. You don't want to bring them out and have burnt courgette and your sweet potatoes not done. So just try, it's a bit of trial and error, and don't worry if it goes wrong, because burnt means caramelized, means flavour. Okay, so what are we going to do here? Just a very simple way of roasting some lovely veg. Got some olive oil, just a good sprinkling of olive oil. Don't drown them. Still want to have the flavour. Now, I'm going to go with extra flavour that we had in the original curry. So, some mild curry powder. And all we're doing here is building some layers on top of the original dish. Bit of mild curry powder. Bit of garam masala again. Beautiful stuff. Oh, smells amazing. So garam masala on. And then bit of salt, pepper. Bit of pepper. Love these things, especially when you need one hand only. Now my salt shaker got a bit poorly, so he's got a bandage on. So apologies for that. That was me dropping it when having a bad day. Now my last thing I'm going to put on, you may or may not have heard of. It's called asafoetida. Now, like me, I had no idea what that was until about a year ago, but it's brilliant. I learned this from watching some of my favourite Indian chefs. And when you smell it, it doesn't smell great. But when you put it on veg, roasted veg, it just lifts it all to a whole new level. It's one of these things, I don't know how it does it or why it does it, but it's brilliant. So if you can get it, great. If you haven't got it, leave it off, it doesn't matter. So, we now have roasted veg ready to go in the oven. Give it a little prod around to make sure everything's nice and coated. And then it's going to go in an oven. I'm putting it in a hot oven, 200 degrees, for 10 minutes. Now I'll be back in 2 seconds, just going to put it in the oven. Now I genuinely am cooking this as we go. Now, one of my great tips is, I don't know about you, but how many times I've started something and then thought, how long has that been in the oven for? So, everyone's got a phone probably. Just starting a 10-minute countdown. So when that goes off, I'm going to know, need to get the veg out. Okay, so roasted veg is now in the oven. So what are we going to do instead? Now here is the beautiful curry sauce we made. Now there's ways and means of adding flavour to this. You can either add flavour into the sauce itself, or you can add flavour with additional ingredients. That could be vegetables or meat, chicken or pork. So It's really going to decide which way you want to go. You can do all three if you like, all three, two. You can put flavour into here and more flavour into your meat. Now I'm just going to show you a quick way, an easy way of adding flavour to meat. So here are these amazing freezer bags. Now these are compostable, 100% compostable freezer bags, which is brilliant. They're not plastic, so you can use them. You can actually freeze them. You can put them in the freezer. They're microwavable. Fantastic. They keep food fresh, cold, you name it. Now for in an in-bag marinade, what I would do, so let's say we're going to have some chicken. So if you get 2 chicken breasts, they can either go in whole or in slices, into fillets, and put them into your bag. Okay, they're in the bag. Then, some natural yogurt, 3 tablespoons of natural yogurt, 3 tablespoons of natural yogurt, and then 2 teaspoons of whatever flavour you want. So say we were going to do more curry powder and garam masala, have a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons of each, in with the yogurt, into the bag, zip the bag up, give them a good massage round. It's great for your hands actually because it's nice and soft and squishy. Once it's all nicely coated, put it in the fridge. Now this one, if you're doing this, you do need to plan ahead a little bit. So you can put them in the fridge. If you can put them in for half an hour, they'll be great. If you're going to put them in for longer, the better, even if they're in overnight. So if you can put them in the night before, when you bring them in get them out the next morning, they are well and truly marinated. Fantastic. Now you could do, say, do chicken, you could do pork, you could probably do fish. Now I'm allergic to seafood, so you won't see me cooking any fish, but I'll try and say what you can put in from what I know. But it's a bit of trial and error. So in bag marinades, just remember 3 tablespoons of yogurt and 2 teaspoons of your spices. So that one would have been a curry. Let's say we want to do a slightly different Indian. So this is tandoori powder. Look, very different flavour. You probably all had tandoori chicken at some point. So again, put your meat into the fresh meat into the bag, 3 tablespoons of yogurt and 2 teaspoons of this. Give it a good mash round. You've got a completely different flavoured chicken. You can go Mexicano if you want. So if you want to go Mexican, it's slightly different extra flavours. So got some smoked paprika, wonderful stuff. If you've only got paprika, it's fine, but smoked paprika really does make a difference. Some ground coriander leaf, some cumin seeds, and oregano. Now, if you only have 1 or 2, just go for the paprika if you can. If you can't, just add a little bit of each of them. Now, 1 to 2 of each, 2 teaspoons of each of those in with the yogurt, and you've got the most amazing Mexican marinade. Now, what to do when that comes out of the fridge? So, if you're getting that out of the fridge, try and get it out in a bit of advance so it isn't cold, the meat isn't cold. Try and get it to room temperature, so get it out 5 minutes before you're ready to use it if you can. If you've got your broth, so your curry base, if it needs a bit more water, because you might have frozen it and it's lost a bit of its water when you've reheated it, then bring it up with a little bit more in it. You can then put this on a low heat, get it nice to a nice warm heat, get your chicken breasts out, and if you've got them whole, it doesn't matter, put them straight in, whole. Lid on, low heat, and then that is going to poach your chicken and steam it as well. Now make sure it doesn't start to boil, because that will be a bit of a disaster, because boiled chicken is not the best. So get it up to heat before you put the chicken in. Put the chicken in, or whatever you've got, fish or meat, lid on, and turn it down to a low simmer. And just let it sit there and poach away. You don't really even want to see that many bubbles. Just get it nice and warm, leave it there. Depending on the size of the chicken breast you're using, anywhere between sort of 15, 20, 25 minutes, you'll be done. So you just test it. And what's really nice is you can either serve it whole, as the chicken breast are, with some rice or whatever, or you can take the poached chicken out, shred it up, chop it up, and put it back in, and you've got a really delicious, either a soup, or you can have it as a curry, whatever. But the flavour that's in that meat from doing the marinade is fantastic. So that's in bag marinades. Now, let's talk about, hello, just turn the light on. In sauce, to make flavour in the sauce. So if I go back to picking up one of the ones we're going to do, tandoori spice. Now, if you have your curry sauce and it's already made and it's sat there and it's ready to add more flavour to, what you can't do, what you shouldn't do, is add just powdered spice straight into it, because it'll go very grainy and you'll be able to taste it as bitterness. It hasn't had a chance to cook. So what I suggest you do is get your chicken, your curry sauce up to a nice temperature, nice heat, ready to add the spices. Get a teaspoon or two of your spice you want to use, put it into a little dish like this, add some hot water and make a paste. So make it into a paste so that it's all dissolved, and then put the paste in to the sauce. That way it gets into it much quicker, you won't have the graininess, and it'll taste fantastic. So again, if you're putting tandoori spice into the sauce, 1 to 2 teaspoons of the curry powder into a dish, enough hot water to make a smooth paste, get the paste in. If you want to make a Mexican one, you can put the herbs straight in, so the oregano and the coriander can go straight in. Also the cumin seeds can go in. But with the smoked paprika, again, just make a little paste. It'll make it a lot easier and a lot nicer to taste. Just make the paste first. So basically the rule is herbs can go in, spices, if they're going into a dish that's already there, try and make a little paste to put them in. It saves you an awful lot of time and it tastes fantastic. Again, if you were doing it with the curry and the garam masala, into a little dish, a teaspoon each, sorry, hot water, into a paste, in you go. And then all of a sudden your broth, your curry-based broth, has changed flavour dramatically. Now what I'm going to show you is one of these, which I haven't mentioned yet, which is Thai. So I'm going to do a Thai chicken noodle broth. I'm actually going to cook something now, you'll be glad to know. So, hopefully everything you've heard me say I'm now actually going to do. So I'm heating up the base curry. Now what I'm going to need for this, I've got some already cooked strips of chicken. So if you've had a roast dinner on a Sunday and you've got chicken left over, it's perfect. You can use ham, put anything in it, and it's cooked, some pork would be lovely. Then I've got some rice noodles. Now I'm celiac as well for my sins, so these are rice noodles. You can use egg noodles, whatever noodles you like. Just look at the packet and it'll tell you how to cook them. So these are going to go into some boiling water for me here, some hot water. And then I've got some Thai curry paste. Now this is a red one. You can have red, green, doesn't matter, whichever you want, or masavan. Different pastes are fantastic. So just check how strong they are, because these can be pretty full on. If you're not careful, you'll find out very quickly how strong they are. Don't try and taste it raw, because it will probably blow your head off and you won't be tasting anything for weeks. So what I suggest to do here is get the broth nice and warm, so it's now heating up. You can feel it, you can see it starting to bubble. In goes the cooked chicken. And again, if it's looking a bit like there's not enough water, just add a little bit more water, it's fine, because it's going to add more flavour here. So the chicken's gone in, that's starting to warm through, which is lovely. Remember, it's already cooked, so it doesn't need that much heating. Now, curry paste. Start off with a teaspoon, put it in, give it a good stir around, and you'll instantly see it change colour, either red or green, depending on what you're using. And the smell is amazing. Now, at this point, just let it go for a minute. Don't taste it straight away, because if you taste it straight away, you're not going to get the full infused flavour. Let it sit there for a little bit, then have a little taste. And now have a little taste. Oh, there it goes. See, I'd forgotten all about my roasted veg. But now it said, my roasted veg is ready. So, back in 2 seconds. So, now the thing is stained up. Here is the beautifully roasted curry, garam masala and asafoetida roasted veg. Now that into the broth is delicious for a beautiful vegetable curry. As I say, you can put in chickpeas, whatever you like, but all that added flavour with the extra spices you put on, roasted flavour, you can put it in for longer as well if you want to get it really caramelised, but just keep an eye on it, you don't want it burnt. Put that into your sauce like I've just put the chicken in, fantastic. So just remember that the flavours that you're adding into your vegetables or your chicken or your meat or whatever, don't get them all cockeyed with what you've put in the pot. So try and make sure you're putting the same flavours. If you're going for flavour in the broth and in the veg or the chicken, use the same ones, otherwise it's going to taste really weird. Although you might stumble on something quite fantastic, and if you do, please let me know. So here we are, we're back with the chicken's in there, it's warmed through nicely. The noodles have been in the bowl now, so I'm going to take them out, and the packets of each one will tell you how to do them differently. In they go. This, by the way, this little fella is brilliant. So it's a big, wide base spoon at the end, great long handle. Now, for getting things like pasta, sometimes I find it really difficult to lift a hot boiling pan of pasta or rice. This is brilliant because you can just scoop it out, put it into wherever you need it to go, and then once the water's cooled down, or you're feeling better, or you can get some help, then you can pick it up. But this means you don't have to start getting into real trouble with hot pans. So a good tip for you there. So in we've gone. The noodles are in. The chicken's already cooked. We have a little taste. Needs a little bit more, I think, a bit more fire. Bit more paste in. In it goes. Let's go for it. Why not? Let that just bubble away. Now remember, as I said, the chicken's cooked, the noodles are cooked. It's just a case of getting everything nice and warm, ready to serve. It smells amazing, and again, it's gone from the smell of last time of a lovely base curry flavour so suddenly we've gone Thai. Now, when you're ready to serve, which this is about, some fresh coriander if you have it, don't worry if you don't, it doesn't matter. Only when you're ready to serve, put the coriander in and use the stalks as well. So the stalks have got loads of flavour in them. If it's a bit too stalky, just chop it up a little bit. So the coriander goes in, just gives you a little flavour extra. If you want to be really impressive, get yourself a lime or a lemon. Bit of lime juice, lemon juice, bit of zest. Wow, lifts it again. So don't be afraid to add a little bit of lemon juice or lime juice to dishes because it really does lift it. And there you have one beautiful Thai noodle and chicken dish. It could be a soup, it could be a broth, it could be a dish as it is. It's fantastic. So really give it a go, try it, and you'll be amazed. And if you get it wrong first time and it's too bland, add more. If it's too hot, try again. It doesn't matter. It's all about finding what works for you. Because what I like in terms of heat, you won't like, and vice versa. And you'll know what your family's like. But just go for it, have a crack. And again, what have I used? I've used some Thai paste that I bought, some noodles that I bought, some chicken that was already cooked, the broth that we had, and there we go. All of a sudden we've got an amazing brand new dish from a curry base to a Thai inspired, I must say, dish. Lovely. So there you are with your curries. I hope that's helped you in terms of flavour combinations, in terms of possibilities and options. It's great to play, just give it a go, see how you get on and enjoy it. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to get rid of these fellas so I can get on with the next bit. We're going to have a lot of curry in this family for a few days. Now what I'm going to show you now is a very simple tomato sauce. Now you think of tomato sauce, you'll think of ketchup, you'll think of a squirty jar, whatever. But what I'm going to show you here is a tomato sauce that you can use as a pasta sauce, which is delicious. You can use it as a topping for pizzas, and you can also use it as a ketchup, as an actual chutney ketchup. Just depends on how long you cook it for. So what I'm going to do show you what we've got. It's really easy, he says, trying to get the gas lit. So, into my trusty pan, which if you saw me last time you'll know is my favourite. Some lovely oil. I use either rapeseed or olive, it depends how you're working or what you prefer, but try and use an oil that hasn't got too much flavour in it, otherwise it'll alter what you've got. So, I'm just going to let that bubble for 2 seconds. I'm going to go and get my trusty frozen onion. So you can hear it bubble. Now remember, frozen onion, it's fantastic. I haven't got the strength today to chop an onion because I know I'd do myself a mischief. So in goes some frozen onion. Okay. Put yourself another spoon. Frozen onion goes in. Just let it get into the hot oil. And you see it went in completely frozen. Now because it's gone in frozen, you just need to give it a bit more time. Now again, last time I talked about flavour. Flavourful onions, just give them a chance. Here we're not looking for a curry sauce type onion, but we just want them to be nice and soft so that they've got releasing that lovely onion flavour. Now, again, let's assume that that's been cooking for 5 minutes on a reasonably low heat. We'll turn the heat down a bit. So what we add in next are beautiful chopped garlic. Now, you notice obviously I need a stick, and it's very difficult to have a stick in one hand while you're trying to cook, so I tend to lean a lot. But on my stick I've got this curly whirly thing that hangs on the side. It's brilliant. So I can lean knowing that my stick's right next to me. So, 1 teaspoon of chopped garlic from my beautiful garlic jar, because again, chopping garlic is not high on my priority at the moment. If you want to, go for it. And then, again, a teaspoon also of ginger. And that goes. And again, I've got the ginger paste. Brilliant stuff. Always have it in the fridge. So let the garlic and the ginger just infuse. Now garlic can burn quite quickly, so just keep an eye on it, make sure because if it burns it goes very bitter. So there we have our base. Now you'll smell when it's ready, you'll smell that beautiful rich sweet flavour. So what goes in next? A can of chopped tomatoes. Everybody has one. Often you think what we're going to do with these, this is where in it goes. Now if you've got a can that has herbs in it as well, just watch what's in it, so when we're adding more flavour you don't want to overdo it. So this one is just plain chopped tomato. In that goes. Just give it a swirl around, let it bring up everything back to temperature. Remember, every time you put in a bit of cold ingredient, the temperature of the pan will drop. So always give it a chance to get back up again before you bring the next item in. Doesn't take long. Then, tomato puree. Again, everyone should have some tomato puree. Don't worry if you haven't. Tomato puree is very, very concentrated. So a tablespoon of tomato puree goes in. Now with tomato puree and onion tomatoes as well, they can taste quite tinny. Not just because they put it out of a tin, but they've got that sort of irony flavour to them. And the way to get rid of that is, there's 2 ways. First one is just let it cook, let it cook, let it cook, let it go, and as it cooks it'll release its sweetness. Okay, let it stir, let it sit there for again another 5 minutes, just to let everything infuse, to let that tin flavour go. Next in is the second way of doing it, is sugar. Now you're thinking, what on earth are you doing adding sugar? But you just need that little bit of sweetness. So literally just a pinch and a half of sugar. Make sure you've got sugar and not salt. That would be a bit of a disaster. So sugar, bit of Live Aid now playing. For those who are of an older generation like me, were there. Oh, brilliant. status quo, opened it all. Bit of sugar. Now, this is a vegetable stock cube that I've just put. Now what I've used is not the whole stock cube, I've just used half of one and 200 mils of water to make it up. In that goes, and you'll see it becomes a little bit more liquidy, but just give it a stir around to combine. And as that's combining, you bring it back up to temperature. I've got some little baby plum tomatoes. I'm not feeling great to chop these, so I'm going to put them in whole. I know, a bit of a maverick, but they're going in. And what will happen is that as that sauce starts to thicken and cook down, the tomatoes will get squishy squashy, and there's nothing more satisfying than with the back of a spoon just squashing tomatoes. I know, it's a sad life I live, but I enjoy it. Now, let's just let that go, let that go, let that go. Again, let's assume now another 5 minutes have gone, it's got nice and gloopy. If that can of tomatoes came with herbs in it, just watch what's in it and then don't add too many of anything else. Now, I love nothing more than just basil. Basil is beautiful smell. It's great raw in salads, it's also brilliant in sauces. Now, with basil, stalks and all, stalks have got great flavour in. Just give them a rip. Give it a rip. Give it a rip. Just about as much as I can manage today. Now my hands are going to stink of basil for the rest of the day. In that goes. And what you suddenly see is this dish goes from red to red and green. And it's fantastic. And you suddenly think, oh, I'm in Italy somewhere. I'm not actually in Italy. I'm in the New Forest. But hey, in that goes. Now, also at this point, bit of seasoning. You cannot go without seasoning. So, pepper, and my Indian salt. In you go. In it goes, and let that cook down. Now, if you're making this and you think, well, when do I know it's ready and how do I? You taste it. You've got to taste things. You've got to taste. Just be careful you don't burn your mouth. Oh, it tastes amazing, but it does need a little bit more sweetness. So a little bit of sugar, just a little bit, adjust it. Remember, you can adjust up, you can't adjust down. So be careful. Now that, once you've let that go for another 5 minutes, pasta sauce, done. You can add, you could put some of your roasted veg in if you want, all kinds of stuff. It's absolutely delicious. And with this, once it's got cool, into your compostable freezer bags. If you've made a load, get it in there, get it in the freezer. You've got homemade pasta sauce ready for you. Now, as I said earlier, I'm going to make a pasta sauce, a pizza sauce, and a ketchup. Now this right now is a pasta sauce. Ready to use, perfect. If you let this carry on bubbling over, just keep an eye on it and give it a little stir down, you'll start to see it disappearing down in its size, but getting stronger and stronger. If you leave this to go for another 10 minutes, ticking over, you'll start to get something quite thick. That, cooled down, is brilliant to put on top of a pizza base, either one you've made or one you've bought. And it's brilliant because it's your own tomato sauce. And there's nothing better than saying, I just made that pizza, but I put the sauce on and everything. So the tomato sauce, if you cook it down, you'll get to a lovely consistency of a pizza topping. If you carry on going even further, to get it almost down to like a sort of sticky marmalade type, just be careful because it will start to stick, then you get the most amazing tomato sauce that you can use like you would a ketchup. Now what I will say, there's one ingredient that I will add to make that happen, which is my all-time favourite, Worcester sauce. So let's assume that that's cooked down quite a long way. A few drops of Worcester sauce, and there you have the most amazing chutney sauce, whatever you want to call it. Delicious. So there you have a tomato sauce that you can use 3 ways. You can freeze it, you can use it, you can do whatever you like with it. Again, it's a base. You can add other things to it. If you want a bit of spice in there, put some chili flakes in, or a bit of fresh chili. It's up to you. You do exactly what you want to put in there. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Again, like the first session, what I would love to see is if you want to send in any questions about the food, about what I've made, about things that have gone wrong, things that have gone right, questions about me, about my life, about how I've got where I am. Nothing's off limits, so if you want to send any questions in, please do, and I will try and answer them all, either on a live session or in a session somewhere. And then we'll go through all of those. Now, as a little thank you from me for watching, that's assuming there is anyone actually watching this, otherwise I'm talking to myself for quite a long time, I'd like to do a giveaway of my cookbook, Cookfulness. So I'd like to give one book away to someone. Now that someone, what I want to see are your best Cookfulness photos. Now I don't want photos of your finished dishes for this. I'd love to see them, but it's not about the finished dishes food. I want to see pictures of you cooking, you enjoying yourself, and you having a laugh, enjoying with your cooking. The best one, I'll send a cookbook to. So get cooking, get enjoying it, and send in your photos, and I can't wait to see. Now before I go, I just want to share with you some of the coping mechanism that I use myself every day, and it's with these little beauties. These are hot cross buns that I've made. They're a bit gnarly, they're a bit more like scones, but I like them. But I've never made them before, but the hot cross bun means an awful lot to me. And the reason is that if you look at the top of a hot cross bun, it's got 4 sections to it. And those 4 sections mean, to me, your thoughts are one, your emotions, your feelings, and your actions. So those are the 4. Now the first 3, thoughts, feelings, and emotions, are quite hard to control. Some people can, but often you can't, and those things will go off and do all kinds of things to you. I can't do this, I'm not doing that, I've got to go this, out the question. So they start controlling what you're going to do. Now the 4th section, your actions, is the one thing you really can control. Now I found this incredibly difficult to start with because my actions were always being driven by how I was feeling, and my emotions, my thoughts, my catastrophizing everything. So my actions would always be to revert away or hide away or not do things. But if you start to think of something and think, like, let's say I'm going to do some cooking today, but I really don't want to do it, I don't feel well, I'm not feeling at all well. Let's stop, let's step back from that and say, okay, why am I saying I don't want to do this? Could I change that to say, right, what would happen if I did actually do this? And could I do it a little bit differently? Could I compromise? Could I, instead of chopping everything up, could I get stuff out of the freezer? Can I get a dish that I've already made in the freezer out? So I've still made it, it's just a little bit easier for me to do. Now what are the consequences of those actions that you've changed? Well, firstly is you've done it, you've overcome some of your thoughts and feelings to say, right, I am going to give it a go. But as a result of that also, my family can see that I've tried, they can see that I'm suffering, but they know that I've given it a good go. They can see I've brought them something, some food, some really interesting food. I might have made it a week ago and it's been in the freezer, but that doesn't matter. The fact is that I've got it out and I've thought I'm going to make sure that I do something, I cook something. So I've changed my action. It could be everyone's going out for a little walk and I struggle with that. And I might be thinking, no, I can't do this, I'm in too much pain. But no, let's take that back again, think again. Let's hot cross bun myself. So it sounds a bit daft, but it's amazing. So I don't just do this on my own. My family know about hot cross bunning. And if they see that I'm struggling with decisions or struggling with, oh, I can't do this, they'll just come to me, either give me one of these hot cross buns or they'll just walk past me and go, hot cross bun. And I know, I think, okay, yeah, got to think about this differently. I'll change the actions to drive what I'm doing. It's brilliant. It works for me. It might not work for you. Give it a try. It's quite a great way of just visualizing a hot cross bun, those 4 areas in your actions. I shall leave that with you. Again, I'm no medical guru. I'm no chef. I'm just me. Feel free to ignore everything I say. It's absolutely fine. So thank you so much for watching the second session. I'm looking forward to doing another one. What that will be, we'll have to wait and see. Enjoy your cooking, enjoy everything about it, and no matter what you produce, it's right, celebrate it and enjoy it. Thank you.